guys! So this is a little bit of a controversial topic, especially I think for YouTube, because YouTube is full of how to lose stomach fat, how to eat for fat loss, intermittent fasting, going paleo, trying Atkins. Like there's literally thousands and hundreds of thousands of YouTube videos about dieting and about the best ways to lose fat, because that is a really popular topic and everyone wants to hear about it. I used to post a lot of videos that were mainly fat loss videos. And the reason I did this was because number one, I felt like I was helping to educate the masses, that there was so much misinformation out there that I thought it was really helpful and beneficial to kind of let everyone know how to lose fat in the no BS way, the truth kind of thing. And I also noticed whenever I did these videos, they would have really high engagement, I'd get a lot of subscribers, I'd receive a lot of views, and so I kind of was like, yeah, this is the kind of content people want to see, so I'm going to keep producing this kind of content. If you did watch my last video, you would have seen me talk about, why I stopped being on YouTube for so long, and like my thoughts around this kind of diet culture mentality. And the last video was why I stopped dieting, and this video is 6 reasons as to why they actually don't work. So even if you want to keep doing your diet, and diet is anything really, and even if you want to keep doing your diet, this is a good video to watch if you're thinking, hey, does it actually work? Like, which diet is the best diet for me? How am I going to be able to lose fat the quickest? This is a good way to look at it because none of them actually work. So this should be interesting. Now, in case you're wondering what constitutes a diet, I think a lot of people are quite confused about what a diet is. And so I just wanted to explain that a little bit. I'm using the definitions that Laura Thomas has described in her book, Just Eat It. I would highly recommend you read it. It's amazing, life-changing. I love it. But yeah, so these are some things to look out for if you think you're on a diet. Can you break rules? Diet. Can you mess up? Diet. Can you have cheat days? Diet. Does it have off-limit foods? It's a diet. Do you count points? Diet. Does it promote guilt-free foods? Diet. Is someone trying to sell you something? It's a diet. Are you being told what, how much, or when to eat? Diet. Is it a case of eat like me, look like me? Diet. Do you have to count calories, macros, or track activity? Diet. Do you have to follow a meal plan? It's a diet. All of these things take decisions about food and eating away from you and place them under external control. They reinforce the idea that you're not to be trusted. There is so much I could say and talk about in regards to diets, but otherwise this video will be about 10 hours long. So I'm going to try and keep it really straight to the point, and I'm just going to give you the 6 reasons why diets don't work. Do you ever feel guilt or shame about what you eat? It's likely this is coming from a diet mentality. Many of us restrict certain foods or reduce our calories in the pursuit of an ideal body, and these have long-lasting effects on our health and on our happiness. Not only is it not healthy, but it's also not sustainable. Dieting can leave you feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, and blaming yourself. You can feel weak, you can feel shameful, you can feel guilt, all because you can't stick to your diet because you're not strong enough to stick to your diet. You feel like you have no sense of control, because when you are in control of your diet, and this is something to be proud of. So here is 6 reasons why diets do not produce lasting change. So research confirms time and time again what most dieters already know, is that you will regain what you lost when you're on a diet. You can lose weight on a diet, but you will most likely gain it back. So yeah, I don't weigh myself anymore because, well, firstly, there's no scale in this apartment. Secondly, because I don't care what I weigh. So I don't know what I weigh right now. I just like to eat what I feel like, and if my body's craving something, I'll have it. last night we were craving pizza, so we had pizza, and I mean, this is all about intuitive eating, which I'll go into in more detail in another video. But yeah, it is important for me to not be focusing that much on just my physical body and more about how I feel on the inside, and it was just causing me too much stress and fixation, which turned into disordered eating by constantly having to be aware of all the foods that I was eating, counting my calories, counting my macros, tracking everything with MyFitnessPal. It was just too much for me, and at the end of the day, that for me wasn't healthy. Even though like I could have looked really healthy, had abs or whatever, it was not healthy in my mind. A UCLA professor conducted one of the most comprehensive and rigorous studies of dieting to see if it works. He looked at 31 studies, and he was conclusive in that he found that diets do not work, and in most cases you actually put on more weight than when you started. Scary. Dieting did not lead to sustained weight loss or health benefits, and the study concluded that it would have been better off for everyone involved, all the dieters, to not have gone on a diet at all. Their weight would have been pretty much the same, and their bodies would not have had to suffer the wear and tear that a diet does to your body. Number 2, diets decrease your metabolism. Your body has a natural weight range, which is genetically determined set that your weight is naturally. And when you try to diet and force yourself below this natural weight range, that's when you mess up your metabolism. Your metabolism slows down, your body pushes back, and you regain all the weight again. Obesity research has shown that dieters are at the mercy of their own body and the set weight the brain maintains without any effort. This weight is determined by both genes, life experience, and varies from person to person. When you deliberately lose weight, whether you are normal weight, above weight, or underweight, your metabolism is forced to slow down, and sometimes this never recovers. When you eat fewer calories than your body needs, your body switches to survival mode. And research has been proven to find that when you lose just 3% of your body weight, your metabolism can slow down by 17%. So this is my current body shape now that I eat intuitively. I am definitely bigger than when I was before, when I was cutting and restricting and really just suffering from disordered eating. So this is kind of more of my natural kind of set point weight, I suppose. And I definitely feel much better knowing that I can just eat what I want within reason, and still not have to have all those thoughts every single day about weighing my food and what's in my food and becoming obsessed with it. But then at the end of the day, you honestly have nothing left in your head for actually important issues. Number 3, dieting is stressful on your body. The weight fluctuation and constant cycle between restriction and overeating brings a lot of side effects that can harm your physical health. Studies have shown that losing and regaining weight in a cycle causes a lot of stress to your cardiovascular system. This continuous weight fluctuation has been linked to cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. Research also indicates that dieters are prone to increased cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and chronic psychological stress. These 2 factors which are known to cause weight gain. When you produce too much of the stress hormone cortisol, it puts you at risk for a load of other health problems. This can be anxiety, depression, digestive problems, headaches, heart disease, sleep problems, weight gain, and memory impairment. So high cortisol is not a good thing, and it makes sense why so many of us have high cortisol when we're dieting, because we're constantly stressed, because we're not sure what food to eat, or we don't feel good in our bodies, or we're feeling bad about ourselves because someone would make a comment about us and that stresses us out. So it increases your cortisol levels and it just makes you feel crap. Number 4, diets produce counterproductive psychological consequences. Now this sounds pretty heavy, so I'm just going to break it down for you. A counterproductive psychological consequence would be a preoccupation with food and eating, distractibility, increased emotional responsiveness, dysphoria, increased eating in the absence of hunger, eating disordered behaviors, and binging. So we're just going to explore a few of these ideas further because you might have not even heard these words before, and it's good to understand what we're talking about. So the main one is definitely how I have felt before, and that is when you become overly obsessed with food and numbers. So you start tracking your calories, your macros, you're always thinking about when's the next time that you can eat, what you're going to eat, how you're going to eat. You start having anxiety about it, like, oh, I've got dinner at my mum's house. I know that she's going to feed me this lasagna. How do I get out of it? Okay, if I eat the lasagna, then maybe I'll have to make sure that I miss lunch today. So you start like thinking about it all the time. It's always on your mind, and it just causes more and more anxiety. And this is definitely how I felt. I think when I was talking about my last video, I was trying to explain this feeling, and this is how I would describe disordered eating. It's not quite an eating disorder, but there's definitely an issue there with your eating patterns. I think I would like to discuss disordered eating further in a lot more detail in another vlog, but for now, we're just going to focus on this. I'm just going to try and get through what I've got. So another counterproductive psychological consequence is that diets actually increase your hunger. Oh, that's great. So your levels of leptin, which is your appetite hormone, will decrease as your hormones change from weight loss and cause you to feel hungrier and intense cravings, often leading to overeating. Hormones and a slower metabolism ends up pulling you back to your old weight, whether it is hundreds of pounds or just an extra 5 to 10 that you were trying to keep off. Another consequence is disordered eating. So this is the disordered eating is what I think I had before and what I think a lot of people have. I think when I was reading Just Eat It, there was a study of UK women, and they found that up to 70% of UK women have experienced disordered eating, and if they were a little bit more lax on how they defined it, it was 90%. So the disordered eating is something that most women have experienced in their life, which is insane. So it's when you engage in abnormal eating patterns or food behaviors on a regular basis, which can include restrictive dieting, compulsive eating, or skipping meals. And I think it sounds a lot more like, oh, I don't do that. And then if you act because you think you're being healthy, but when you actually think about what you have been doing, it fits disordered eating because there's this obsession with food. It might not be obsession to the point of an eating disorder. I think how I would always classify it is, I don't have a problem. I'm not like running on the treadmill for 5 hours a day trying to burn off the apple I ate. Like that would be like my idea of that's when you've got a problem. But in reality, I had an issue, disordered eating, and I just thought it was me being healthy. But it made me feel really, really bad about myself. And I think I just was kind of like, nah, just keep going. You're being weak. This is what it's like. You've got to be tougher. You've got to be stronger. You have to, everyone else is doing it. It's, and the good things in life don't come easy. You have to do this. So is that idea that because it was so hard and because it was so difficult and because I struggled so much with it, that it was the right thing to be doing? So many disordered eating behaviors have actually become mainstream diets, so such as the gluten-free diet, veganism, or paleo. So that I'm speaking then about people that go on these diets when they don't care about, like, say, the ethical treatment of animals, or when they're actually not gluten-free, but they just decide they want to be gluten-free, lactose-free, dairy-free, grain-free, everything. So those kind of people, that's what disordered eating is. And what happens with this disordered eating is that you actually have a higher chance of developing an eating disorder from this. So I was like unlucky, I didn't develop an eating disorder from this, but according to studies in Laura Thomas's book, around 30% of people who go on this way end up with an eating disorder. So for me, that number was just too high to engage in any of these restrictive eating practices, which, you know what, they're so commonly thrown about as things for you to try on YouTube. And I've done it before. I have tried keto, I have been paleo, I have tried intermittent fasting, I have written about it, I have blogged about it, I have been one of those people. But it's just so crazy that I didn't realize how disordered my eating was. And now that I understand it, I'm like, wow, it all makes sense now. Learning, guys, make sure you do your learning. So another consequence of dieting is having an eating disorder. So according to the National Eating Disorders Association, 35% of normal dieters progress to pathological dieting, and that 20-25% of those individuals develop eating disorders. So these can be classified as anorexia nervosa, bulimia, binge eating disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and other specified feeding or eating disorders. So it's kind of scary when you think about all of it.
This was pre-count. Weight has dropped down as well, so we're down to 51, as Maddie was saying before.
It's the least I've ever weighed in my whole life since 2015.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I've never been that weight.
Yeah, at that time I was just craving food so much, it was insane. I think I was like cutting down for like a photo shoot that I had, and it was only like a 3-week cut, but I was taking it really, really seriously.
Hey guys, so I just got back from the gym. Ignore my Uber bag. I'm just all health, I swear.
I was craving food and it was awful, like I was obsessed with it. Every day I'd wake up, be like checking my stomach for abs, and it just became obsessive. So to eat in a calorie deficit, this is some of the things that I do to make it easier for me. Because otherwise, what I will do is, if I have the food at home, I will eat all of it. So you can see just some of the food we've got here. And you know, I used to say like, oh, I can't have this in the house because if I have it in the house, I will just eat it. So I just want to show you some things we have in the house. We've had these, I think, for 2 weeks. We bought them in the airport. These I've had for at least a week. Same with these, I bought these at the airport. And these as well, we bought them last week in our shop. So they've been in the house for, between the two of us, for over a week. What other yummy stuff have we got? Our snacks. We haven't even opened our snacks. But this is all the stuff that we've got. Potato chips. Other chips that we're not a huge fan of. We prefer the more authentic Mexican potato chips. That's not even been opened. This hasn't been opened. And neither has these, but I mean, who would want to open these? These are oven toasted sunflower seeds. I did not buy them. Sid, you bought these. Why haven't you eaten them? So yummy. Lies. Yeah, so this has been in the house for over a week and we haven't just sat here and gorged ourselves and eaten everything because we've just been eating what we feel like when we want it, and it's not like a scary thing having in the house. I'm like, oh, I can eat it, it's fine. Nothing bad's gonna happen. So number 5, diets don't address the underlying triggers. At the heart of the current cultural obsession with weight loss is that the idea that in order to be happy, we must lose weight first. I think weight loss is an easy one for me to say because there's so many people out there saying, oh, but I don't want to lose weight. I just want to like gain muscle and change my physique basically. But it's still the same desire to change your body. Most people want to lose fat, that's the most common one, but there are people who, you know, like me before, who did want to just gain muscle, but there's still the things you have to do to gain muscle, and then I still became obsessed with gaining muscle and changing my body. So that it's not just thinness as well, you have to remember that. I remember thinking, oh, once I have legs that are like this big and a booty that's this size, I'll be so happy with my body, I'll be so happy with how I look. I didn't hate my body, but there was definitely so many things that I didn't like about it because I was constantly focusing on it and thinking about it all the time. I was aware that exactly what I wanted to look like and how I wanted to get that look. Emotional eating can be a way to numb yourself, and no amount of food is going to fill that void within yourself. And I think a lot of people who struggle with emotional eating, they have past issues in their life that they might need help with a psychologist or a therapist, and it's so much more complicated. There's so many more complicated reasons behind why you're dieting and why you're trying to be thinner than just the simple one, oh, I want to lose weight. There's a lot more behind it that's deep-seated and complicated, and it's different for all individuals. And I don't think we as a society really address that. Like when I did a course at Clean Health last year, it was a really great course, really informative. And you know what they did teach me about fat loss was, you know, the 4 like principles of fat loss. You've got nutrition, sleep and stress and exercise. And these are kind of the things that I learned. These are the things that help you lose fat. This is what you need to do. You need to have control of all these 4 pillars in order to lose fat. I was like, awesome. I didn't, this is great. I'm going to be able to use this and to my best advantage. But there's so much more to losing fat than just those 4 parts. And I think so often in life we just focus on those elements, and I know I have before. I've done so many vlogs about those elements. So this is another quote from Just Eat It, which I just think is fascinating. So current estimates suggest that only 38% of health is determined by individual behaviours, so behaviours that we can control. So these include individual psychological assets, so your optimism, your conscientiousness, like your motivation to stick to something. It can be your negative mood and effects, stress, anxiety, depression, drug use, sleep patterns, physical activity, sexual health, and nutrition. The other 62%, so that is massive. There's a whole other 62% that attributes to losing weight or just to health, is one way to put it. It's attributed to social circumstances, genetics, medical care, and the physical environment, pollution, and air quality. So there's so much more that comes into play that is to do with health, as opposed to it's not just nutrition and exercise. There is so much more at play. But what happens is when we are dieting, we're trying to force this need for control, or when we're aiming to be thin because then we'll be happy, we think it'll fill this void, and then it doesn't. It's kind of just like not even like a quick fix patch, because it just doesn't work at all. The underlying triggers won't have changed, and your previous eating habits will resume because you haven't really fixed the actual problem where it all stems from. And that could be, something heavy like self-love, or a feeling of rejection, or maybe divorce that you were brought up in. So there's so much more to it. That's what I'm trying to say with this one. I finally got to the point. So this is a bit more complicated, understanding these kind of triggers. So I'd recommend you read The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf, or And The Religion of Thinness by Michelle Lewicker. I think that's how you say it. Number 6, dieting gets in the way of lasting healthy change. Dieting doesn't help you develop sustainable habits. It focuses on short-term weight loss. And some people might argue and say, no, my diet doesn't do that. But I would like to talk to somebody that has managed to stay on the paleo diet for 20 years, or that has managed to stay on their gluten-free, dairy-free diet for 20 years. Because if it's truly sustainable, then it's really, really simple and easy to do. But we know that it's not. When you treat nutrition and physical activity as the only way to lose weight, you're not likely to continue to eat nutrient-rich food or exercise, because you might not see the results you want, and then you'll be put off. So you're more likely to go back to your old habits, even if you did lose weight. I remember reading this study where it was asking people who did exercise continuously and form a habit with exercise and healthy eating for longer than for 13 years. So that means it's not just a phase, it's officially a habit, it's part of your life, it's who you are. And none of them answered, oh, it's because I want to lose weight, or because I want to keep losing weight. All of them said the reason they do it is because it makes them feel good and they enjoy it. So that should be the main reason behind any of the food that you like to eat, or any of the exercise that you do. I think the purpose of enjoyment and love of it is so simple, but it's actually the most important thing if you actually do want to stick to it. So many people ask me about motivation, and motivation's not going to last forever. But if you actually enjoy something, you're not going to have to be motivated to do it, because you're going to want to do it. Just like you're going to want to watch Game of Thrones every week because you like it. You're going to want to work out 5 times a week or 4 times a week because you really like how it makes you feel. So overall, I hope this has taught you to not diet. So I think a lot of people will be thinking at the end of this, okay, well then if I'm not dieting, like what am I doing then? So what I've been learning a lot about, and which I have noticed in my life that I am very prone to do, and I think why I managed to get out of disordered eating quite easily, is that I do eat intuitively. Intuitive eating is, I think, another vlog, because that is another complicated kind of phase to go through. But intuitive eating is what I believe is the way forward, and how to give up on this diet culture which has so many negative effects on us and the people around us. And intuitive eating doesn't have any of those same restrictions that other diet practices do. It's not a diet, and I think so many people, when they describe what they're currently doing, and they never like to say it's a diet, because diet is such a, you know, a passé word. They want to say it's trendy. It's I'm eating clean, or I'm being really healthy. I'm not on a diet. But if they answered yes to any of those questions at the start, are you restricting yourself? Are you counting your calories? Are you following a meal plan? It's a diet. You're on a diet. You're doing something that's not really going to be sustainable. And for me, I know that the way I eat is sustainable, because I know that because I'm on holiday, and I eat the same that I'm eating on holiday as I do when I'm back home. There's no difference for me. I'm not like, oh, I'm splurging, I'm on holiday, this is so delicious. Like, this is how I eat normally. There's no different. And I'm eating lots of really yummy food, and it's great. Yeah, if you really look at my face in the one on the left where I'm wearing all black, you can really see the kind of disappointment and the hurt on my face when I'm looking at my body. And even when I wrote this caption, I mentioned, you know, my unfiltered skin, my dimply thighs. I talked about my jiggly bum, my back fat rolls. Like, that's like all I could see when I looked at that image. And I remember I had like hundreds of comments, and some people were defending me and some people were calling me out saying, how dare you say this? And I was just like, you guys are trolling me. How dare you? Like, I feel so uncomfortable about my body. But the truth was, like, when I look at myself then, I was thinner than I am now. I just had no idea, because disordered eating had messed myself up so much. And you can see when I cut then, I was miserable. I think I posted in this caption that I hadn't eaten bread for 3 weeks, and that my photo shoot had been cancelled, and this body was all for nothing, and I was so depressed. And then I was like, oh well, gotta look on the good side of things, at least I can take a physique video. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, no wonder I didn't get anything done in that year, because I was so busy like counting my macros. So yeah, I just found these videos and I just felt a bit sorry for old Maddie. So yeah, this is my body now, and it's crazy because I was rewatching those videos of myself, like the way that I looked, like I've just looked so sad, like looking at my body. I remember watching them after, and then the next kind of videos that I posted, I'd be making sure that I was like really happy. But the first time I ever did it, I'm like, my face is like this. Like, am I good enough? Is this good enough? Like, I was so upset, and you can see it in my face that I'm like looking at myself and like judging every single part of my body, and it's just so effed up. So I just want to let you know that diets don't work. I hope this video was helpful to you. I'm going to be producing a lot more content like this because it's something that I am truly passionate about, and I hope you guys want to come along for the ride.